we're going to dive into our first class. So I switched up the series, the order, mainly because uh, we're going to do the you growing your own seedlings at home class today, because you still have time to start summer seedlings, if people are interested in growing seedlings in their home. Normally we keep this class in like the third or fourth class, but then like by the time you take it, it's too late to start seedlings. So when I start, I'm going to try this one out first. But cool, but let's go ahead and get started. This is one of my favorite gardens. This is Langdon Community Garden. It's in Ward 5 in Langdon Park. Really cool garden because we tried out. I love it because we tried out 7 different types of materials for raised beds. So if you're thinking about building some raised beds, we'll definitely talk a lot about how to actually build decent raised beds out of multiple materials, in this class. But definitely you can see this garden in person, and you can see, all the different, structures and things. But we'll talk a lot more about that in a second. So this is the schedule. Hopefully everyone's familiar with the schedule by now. But if not, every Wednesday, starting tonight to May 5th. I checked. I don't think there's any holidays or anything, so we should be good for. And since it's webinars, we don't have to worry about weather cancellation, so we should be good to do for the next 12 Wednesdays. But yeah, if you can't, I'm going to be recording these classes. So if you can't make this, definitely give me a heads up. We're going to be recording and sharing the classes with everyone. So just let us know. But ideally, like the people actually participating in these live classes, hope we're doing the live classes because we want to continue discussions and questions and Q&A, work on more hands-on demonstrations and things as much as we can, and also you can get the certificate if you complete these classes. But we ask that everyone try to attend the majority of classes, and then if you want to get the certificate, and then we'll have makeup assignments if you do miss any classes. So. And what I find is these classes work really well when you're actually growing, as you're learning. Because if you're going to learn a whole bunch of information and then start growing, next year you're going to forget everything. A lot of times it doesn't make sense until you actually start, get your hands dirty in the soil, and then it starts making sense. Oh, this is how you prune a tomato. This is how you build a raised bed. So definitely want to kind of help everyone find a place to garden. I listed a whole bunch of different options from, if you're gardening at home, we're going to talk a lot about how to start gardens in your yards, how to do container gardens. If you're looking for a community garden or an urban farm, community gardens are typically that everyone gets their own personal plot, and then urban farms are like nonprofits will run this production farms, but you can volunteer and usually take home a handful of produce. So we have altogether we have almost 100 community gardens and urban farms in DC. Like we have a very high density urban ag scene. And like a couple years ago, the Public Land Trust, the Trust for Public Land, gave us the most community gardens per capita than any other city in the country. So it's really cool. There's a lot of different places, but also there's a huge demand, so there can be a long waiting list for a lot of these things. So definitely check them out. We have in DC Parks and Rec, we have 35 community gardens and 7 partner farms or urban farms, where you can either get your own personal plot at community gardens, or you can come and volunteer and learn through the partner urban farms. Then we're starting out a new program we started last year. It was kind of a COVID adaptation. We just built this really cool rooftop farm at Edgewood. Edgewood got a new rec center, so it's just a little south of the Basilica at the Catholic University. And it's about a quarter acre, not even a quarter acre. It's a small one, but it's so cool. It's like the most productive farm I've ever. It's like this perfect drainage, fertile soil, like expanded shell with compost mix, and it's just the most productive place I've ever farmed. We were going to do like all different kinds of programs, and then COVID hit, so we decided to actually just grow as much food as we could, and we invited volunteers to come, COVID safe, we'll have masks, we space out, we limit the number of people that can join. But they can come, they can learn, they can get hands-on experience, they can take home a bunch of produce, and then we do weekly produce giveaways. And we actually produced, over 1,000 pounds, in the small, Edgewood farm, that we gave away to the community. And so that worked really well. Because a lot of times, I mean, to be honest, sometimes we oversell urban ag, like, oh, you just need some seeds and compost and you'll be fine. It could be a little tricky. I mean, it could take you a couple years to really get a productive garden, to really learn about it. So, if you're looking to just kind of like, just kind of get your hands dirty, just like volunteer and get some hands experience, we would love for you to volunteer with us. Unfortunately, most of the hours are going to be like weekday um, hours. Why, we're trying to work out some Saturday and evening hours as well. But if you're interested, send me an email and I can let you know what our open hours are going to be. And then we're actually, starting a second communal farm. We're taking over Letter Gardens. This was this youth garden that was started back in the 70s. It was a really productive farm up until like 10 years ago. It's just like the erosion and everything, to the point where it just floods like crazy, and they'll grow all this food and then it will rain and everything will die. So we're trying to take this back over. I'm in the process of digging some French drains, and working on, building soil structures and things. So if you really want to learn some infrastructure, urban ag infrastructure stuff, would love some help. And we're going to do the same thing with communal farms. You can come out, you can learn with us. You can take home produce. We'll do produce giveaways, field trips, things like that. So definitely, if you're interested in either one of those, one's in Ward 5, one's in Ward 7, send me an email. It's non-committal. Just send me an email and I'll put you on the list so you get updates on when the open hours are and things like that. But really, I'm really excited about it. It's been a lot of fun with these production farms or communal farms. And then the last thing I want to talk about is shared routes. Because even with all of this, it's, a lot of people are still having trouble finding plots. Sometimes you have to wait like 3 or 4 years on a waiting list to get a plot in the garden you want. So we partnered with OSSE, Office of State Superintendent of Education. They run all the school gardens, which we have over 100 school gardens in DC. It's really exciting. And at the same time, most of the schools are closed on the summer. So they can't really produce a whole lot in the summer. And then the teacher comes back, in August and tries to get the garden going again. It's a bit of a nightmare. So we partnered this program where we'll match you with schools. And then you can grow all the food you want. You can keep the produce, and then when the school starts again, you hand this like fully functional garden over to the school. So we've been doing it for a couple of years. We had to shut down last year with COVID, but I'm hoping we still have to see some things. But I think we'll be able to do this program again this year. So if you can't find a garden plot anywhere, you send me an email and I can hook you up. We'll give you a place. And we're also doing home yards. So if you have a yard and or someone has a yard and doesn't have the capacity to grow a garden, we'll match people that are looking for spaces. So there's a couple of different options on that. But yeah, definitely. Hopefully, with all these different options, if you still, we should be able to find everyone a growing, a place to grow with all this stuff. All right, and then there's a couple kind of one thing about DC is like DC, it has so many amazing resources and initiatives and things happening, but not a lot of people really know about it. So that's why we started the Doug Network, DC Urban Ag Network. This is a while, like 7 or 8 years ago. Just we created this resource website to it has over 1,000 different resources and organizations in urban ag and food justice and food security and environmental. So if you're looking for like places to buy compost or like places that have youth, garden education, you can look up through the huge, database that we have on that. And in addition to that, we do a really long, really ugly Doug Network newsletter every 2 weeks. That's got, dozens of job openings, grants, garden programs, and all different kinds of things. So if you want to sign up for that, you can do it on the front page or send me an email and we'll sign you up for that. And on top of that, I sent this to everybody, but we started a Google group, during COVID, because a lot of people wanted to kind of connect and find places to garden together and answer questions, ask questions and things. So we started the DC Urban Grower Network Google group. You don't have to have a Gmail with Google Groups, but if you don't have a Gmail, you have to set up this a Google account, whatever that is a whole guidelines on there. It's super easy. You can still use your own email, but if you want to join that, then you can ask any kind of questions. You'd be like, hey, who wants to order compost in bulk because it's super expensive to buy by the bag. You can ask questions. What's eating my whatever? So definitely check that out. All right. So now I want to kind of give a chance to kind of for everyone to kind of